let me kick off. Today, the aim of today is to keep you up to date with the new features coming out in the tools that you probably use day to day. I know we have a number of different people from a number of different businesses, and you all use slightly different tools. Primarily, though, all of the clients we work with are on the Google stack. If you happen to be on the Microsoft stack in the future, I may have updates about Copilot, but in this session, I don't have those updates. This isn't just about Google Stack, though. So primarily, it's about Google Stack because that's what impacts most of you the most. But I do have some updates in here from Claude because you may be interested in trying out some functionality in there, and also some updates on ChatGPT. I have a lot to show and very little time. So I'm just going to press through this. If you have questions, please do try and catch me at the end. I'm hoping that I'll have time at the end to answer any questions, but I may not have. I haven't actually done a full run through this yet. So let's jump in. The first thing I wanted to tell you about was, you may have seen this, you may have started using this already, but I want to provide you some use cases as to when it's useful. Inside Google, inside your chat, which you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, you now have access to this Ask Gemini button. And this Ask Gemini button lets you use Gemini inside your Google Chat interface, not needing to switch context and go somewhere else and use Gemini in that context. The place where this is useful, there's a few places where this is useful. You can ask it to search your Google Drive for you, and it will go and find relevant documents in Google Drive, which is really nice. Just on a quick whim, give me some Drive documents that will be relevant to this conversation. You can get it to catch you up on unread chats. I know that it sometimes does this, but it's not always particularly useful, or it goes back only to the last one that you've read and doesn't really give you any context of that. You can get it to do that too. And you could get it to find time in your diary when you and the other people in this chat thread are free to catch up. That one's really, really useful. Looks in all of your calendars, assuming you have access to their calendars. So works well in our organization, inside Algo Core, probably works well inside Google, inside Zoom, inside Stripe, etc. in that ecosystem. So yeah, do give it a look. The other thing I just want to share, which was a little bit hidden to me until I found it, was if I go into any meeting room, any chat, on my Mac, if I press Command G, probably Control G, and you can see that pops up when I hover over Ask Gemini, it will then bring this chat, the context of the meeting room that I'm in. So as I jump between different meeting rooms, I get then the context of that chat in that meeting room, which can be useful for like surfacing those documents or summarizing the content in those chats. So that's the first one. If you find new use cases for it, please do let me know, because I'd love to share those with the wider community too. The next one is workspace flows, and you've probably heard me harp on about workspace flows and how I think they're going to be great for everyone that uses Google tools and products for a long time. Then they removed a lot of the functionality from it for security reasons. They're now adding in functionality. You may have even heard me talk about loops, the fact that I think loops are interesting. And in 2 weeks' time, I've got an entire webinar dedicated to loops and building some of your own loops. But today, I just want to quickly show why these are important. What we can do now in workspace flows, and if you haven't seen workspace flows before, you get to it by going to studio.workspace.google.com. They enable you to like trigger things off of other things happening in your Google account. So it might be a drive, it might be a sheet getting updated, it might be an email that you receive. You can trigger things to happen. What we can do now is we can extract the information from that thing, so whatever's triggered it, and then we can run a loop on that. We can get it to do multiple things. And I've got two examples here that I want to share. First one is a really, really simple example. We will step over and build one of these actually next week if you do, in 2 weeks if you join that webinar. This one is when I receive an email, ask Gemini to extract the information from that email, and importantly, put it into a list for me of tasks, and then add those tasks. So for every task that Gemini finds and adds to that list, add those to my to-do list inside Google To-Dos. The next one is a bit more complicated. but when a new file is added to a drive, get the contents of a spreadsheet, which has got a list of personas in it, create me a brand new document, and then start populating that document with every persona that's in that spreadsheet with personalized content that Gemini has created for me. So I've got this generalized content that goes into this folder at the top. I then personalize that into as many different variants that I have personas in my spreadsheet. And again, I'll be stepping over this one in the session that I've got in 2 weeks' time. And you could build your own kind of engine like this, where you chuck a document in a drive, and then Gemini will do a number of activities on your behalf, as opposed to just the one thing that it would have traditionally done. This is a big difference. This is really quite a big difference inside Google Workspace Studio. It means that you can do many, many repetitive tasks. And if you currently use Workspace Studio to do research for you, so maybe every week, get Workspace Studio to run a gem that runs a deep research on a particular topic or a set of competitors, you can actually start looping over the results from that now and creating, say, PDFs for each individual competitor, or running deeper analysis on every competitor without you having to create 10 different workflows for 10 different competitors. Once you understand it, you'll see the value, and I do recommend absolutely joining that session in 2 weeks. That's enough plugging of my webinar in 2 weeks. The next one, I don't have access to this. Maybe you don't have access to this too, but you will eventually get access to this. Inside Gemini, on the left-hand sidebar for your personal accounts that maybe are on AI Pro or AI Ultra at the moment, you'll have access to notebooks. So Gemini, if you think about Gemini on the left-hand side, you currently have your recent chats. You're soon going to have access to notebooks. These notebooks are the very same notebooks that you have in Notebook LM. They provide you a space where you can store information that's all relevant to one another in one place. Currently, Gemini is limited to chats, threads, where you can store this kind of context. Notebooks, like you have multiple chat threads within a notebook, and they integrate with ChatGPT. No, they don't integrate with ChatGPT. Correct myself. They integrate with Notebook LM. Definitely not ChatGPT. Which means that you can create these knowledge bases that then you can query in Gemini. So you're not having to create a custom gem, which you might have to do now and link that up to a notebook. You can just have them in your sidebar, so any of your notebooks. If you've used ChatGPT and you've used projects in ChatGPT, or you've used projects in Claude, they are basically the same thing, with the difference of them being backed by Notebook LM. What this means is you can now, if you've got access to this, you can create rich assets inside your Gemini window. So from your Notebook LM content. So if you go to a Notebook LM, you can obviously press the buttons on the right-hand side to be able to create slides and create an infographic. But actually, you could also get it to build you a web page based on the information, or create your research report based on the information without needing to go to Notebook LM. And it could be richer and more dynamic. So look out for those when they come. I'm sure they'll be adding more functionality to that feature too. The other big update place, I'm going through this actually quite quick, so I think maybe I will have a couple of, actually I won't commit. Maybe I will have some time at the end. Notebook LM also has, I don't have access to this yet, but many people do have access to this, especially if you're on a personal, Ultra or Pro plan, is the ability for Notebook LM to create rich sources for you. So yes, I just told you in Gemini, now by connecting your notebooks to Gemini, you can create these really rich sources. In fact, you're going to be able to do that in Notebook LM anyway. So they're just creating the same kind of environment where you can work with the same kind of tooling. This means that you can get Notebook LM to create you PDFs. You can get it to create you web pages. You can get it to create you basically entire websites. Whereas at the moment, you're obviously limited to the things that it creates on the right-hand side. So the slides are all basically fixed inside certain templates and things. So this means that it's just going to be much more powerful creation of content. And not just doing the research or finding the research or creating that research, but actually then creating the output from that research all in one place. Notebook LM. If you haven't seen, actually, I probably need to get a tab open for this. One thing I did just want to touch on, I've sort of mentioned this a couple of weeks ago in one of the sessions that I hosted, but it was just a quick 2-minute mention. If you haven't seen already, and you've already got a number of notebooks, on the left-hand side now, you've got this auto label sources by topic button, and this will use AI to look at your sources and categorize them, and then put them into buckets. And those buckets make it a lot easier for you to turn off relevant sources and do research or create outputs on very specific topics. So if I just wanted outputs on AI marketing roles, I would just choose this one. If I just wanted updates on leadership and strategy, I would just choose this one. It's quite a hidden feature, but it's quite a nice, powerful one once you find that button. So I just wanted to quickly show that as well. In Gemini, you can now share canvases. So I think I've got a tab open for this. I've got a number of tabs that I'll share after this. I probably should have been stepping through these in an order. In Gemini, you can now share canvases. So if you've ever gone into Gemini and you've pressed this canvas button and it's created something for you, like a web page or an infographic or a PDF or even some text that you can edit, you can now share that with other people. And you do that by going to the the share and export button. And now you choose share via Drive. And when you choose share via Drive, it's going to create a copy of this in your Google Drive. And when I say a copy, it's literally going to create a copy of this. If I share this 10 times, it's going to create 10 copies of this in my Google Drive. Beware. That you can then share with other people. So you can share it with anyone with the link or someone in your workspace or restricted access. Shada, you have a question? Maybe not. Feel free to interrupt me if that question does come around. So yes, you can now share that with anyone. So if you've created a smart dashboard, or if you've created something that lets you get your to-dos in the flow, or if you've created a Gantt chart from a project brief, you can now share that. That goes into your Google Drive, which is then just a file that they can open and you can open in the future. They will see it, full screen window. They won't see the chat. So they will just see the artifact that you've created here, not the chat that you've made to get to it. So that's a nice one and a simple one. Bear in mind, if you then update this canvas, the copy that you made will not update automatically. You'll need to reshare a new copy. So that's one of the limitations to be aware of. So try and only share like relatively finished assets, or be prepared to share it more than once. Cool. Gemini Spark. You may have seen at Google I/O recently that Google is stepping into the territory of Claude and ChatGPT agents and OpenClaw and Hermes, if you've seen these like standardized agents. What it plans to do is be your 24/7 personal agent. You'll be able to message it on your phone and get it to do stuff. It all runs on the Google Cloud server. But the idea is that it has access to your entire Google workspace and maybe some other connectors that you've given it access to, like Asana, maybe like GitHub, if you're a developer. And what it can do is tasks for you. And these aren't just one and done kind of tasks. These are multi-step tasks. So if you've been using Claude for a while, or if you've been using ChatGPT agents, you're probably already familiar with having something do multi-step tasks for you. This is what Google is releasing to the masses to enable this to happen. Currently, if you're a pro or an ultra subscriber on a personal license, so for your own, if you're already one of those, not necessarily in a workspace, you'll probably already have access to this and you can start testing this. Workspaces, it's rolling out slower too, and it's in the US only at the moment. So bear that in mind, but you will expect to see this coming into your workflows, I'm sure, in the next few months. I just wanted to flag it. We'll share this page so you can have a look at what it does. This is one of the big updates that Google provided at Google I/O a few weeks ago. It will do multi-step tasks on your behalf, and then let you know on the device that you send the message from that it's now ready to be actioned or reviewed or performed, whatever it may be. It's going to be quite a big one. The next one is Stitch. So inside Stitch, Google Stitch, you may have seen or tried Google Stitch in the past. It is what Google are calling their vibe design experience. And they're really, really doubling down on it just being this like a vibe experience to get the ideas behind interfaces and the ideas behind how your app might look in one shape or another, or a website might look in one shape or another. A couple of features I just wanted to highlight that are new since maybe I showed Stitch a while ago. I tried this morning and it was crazy, like positive energy. There's a button down at the bottom here that says start live preview mode. This lets you talk to an agent that is going to listen to you and then just build things on the screen for you. Once it's built it, it's going to ask you what you feel of it, and then you can just talk to it and it will continue to build new interfaces and move to the next one, or maybe it will step back and it will take some of the stuff out from what it's built. That, as I said, actually you can change the voice. I didn't try that, but the energy was insane this morning when I tried this. They were so excited about my ideas and I felt very privileged to be in its company. There are design guidelines in here as well, so you can see that this is basically looking like the Algo marketing website. I created this by asking the agent here to actually build me a design guide further up. That's a standard thing when you come in. You don't need to search for it. It will just basically be like, do you want to create a design guide? And you provide it the link to the web page that you want to create a design guide on and any additional assets you have. It's very easy. You can also do prototypes on here, so AI prototypes. So if I was to like grab these four together, and then at the top here, I can create this instant prototype. What that does is it gets the agent to decide which parts of this interface, this first interface, you should click to get to this next interface and then this next interface. So rather than traditionally you maybe needed to wire these things up in like a workflow, you may have seen tools that let you do that in the past. AI is going to support you there too. And one of the other nice ones is like the ability to animate things. So there's a button here to just animate. Well, actually, I spoke to the agent this morning and said, can you run the animate function? It did that for me on my behalf, but that lets you basically see this in it lets you see it as what it might look like on a web page once you get the code. Okay, it was animating more earlier. I don't know. I've obviously picked the wrong one, but it was animating nicely earlier. I promise the animate function does work. Bad example. It's probably slightly further wrong. It's probably this one. Yeah, it's worth a try. If you're vibe coding, this is a really, really great place to start to try and get an idea about what your app may look like. And you can feed these designs directly into AI Studio if you intend to like vibe code in AI Studio. Here we go. Look at all that animation. Incredible. Yes, worth another look. If you haven't looked at Stitch for a while, they are investing a lot of time and energy into this tool. Definitely worth a look. Comment. I haven't got a tab for this. If you have a Perplexity subscription, or if you don't, actually, you can still use this. I wanted to raise this because it's the only browser that I'm aware of on a mobile device that lets you run AI functions. So if you're doing something repetitive on a mobile device repeatedly, like filling out forms or needing to repeat some process, Comet might actually be able to do that for you. So if you don't know, Comet is an AI well, I wouldn't say it's AI first, but it's a fork of Google Chromium browser that lets you run AI functions directly within the tool, and it will control the browser on your behalf. So as if you were actually physically doing these actions. So if you need to log into a system and do something in a system, it can do that on your behalf as well. I wanted to flag it because it's the only one I know of on mobile that can do these AI functions for you. So these regular repeated tasks. Do I have any more updates before I jump into ChatGPT? Yes, one that I forgot to put in my slide deck actually was inside AI Studio, Google AI Studio, as of say a month ago, maybe slightly less, you can now integrate your Google Workspace in here. So traditionally it was a lot harder. You had to go and create some special credentials in Google Cloud Platform and then get it like log in through that method. Now, anyone in here can import their Gmail, Drive, Docs, assuming that they've given this access to do so, and it'll ask for access as you basically prompt it. What that enables you to do is really easily sign in with Google. And then for this very, very quick example, can't even remember what I said, visualize my calendar with an interactive dashboard that color codes events by category and urgency. I just very, very quickly, obviously, threw this together earlier. It hooks up to my calendar. So I've got 180 other tasks I need to do in my calendar, alongside some other views. So what I just wanted to flag was on the home screen, you can see all these buttons down here: Google Drive, Google Sheets, Gmail, Google Calendar. These will now integrate with your apps. So if you've thought about building like a dashboard for your daily brief, this is actually a really good place to do that now, because it can integrate with your email and your Drive and read your to-do list and things. That traditionally was a lot harder to do. ChatGPT agents. So majority of the Google ones over with. I've got one more at the end to share actually. But if you're a ChatGPT user, which you may be at work, you may be in personal, you may not have tried yet their agents function. These agents enable you to do multi-step activities using connectors that you've let ChatGPT have access to. So out of the box, they have a number of templates. You get to them, by going to ChatGPT on the web and going to agents. If you've got Codex on your machine, that's slightly different. You can build your own agents in Codex, but that's like a desktop app. But in here, these will let you run web-based agents. And they've got a number of agents, like templates. So find one that's relevant to you. There's probably one that's relevant to marketing. Campaign copy generator or marketing strategist. These will connect in to the tools that you have, assuming that you've given it access to do so. So CRM, HubSpot, currently it doesn't have a Salesforce connector, so it's not connected into everything, but you can use MCP servers to create agents that will do multi-step things for you. So if you're enriching a lead, maybe you have an agent step that enriches this lead across the 3 different systems that you have access to, picks the best one. Renata, you have a question, or you were promoted?
So sorry to interrupt. Look, what tools from the design perspective was connected with? Because you just passed by, I saw there was a design. No. In marketing strategy, when you're filling up the connectors in there with the apps, marketing strategy, design, I'm so sorry. Canva, Figma,
Adobe, Photoshop, Acrobat. So that one's pretty well covered.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, this lets you basically create an agent that has access to all of these tools, and behind it has a prompt that you can configure to do certain actions. And I ran an internal session actually on this recently, talking about agent memory and talking about agent skills. If you haven't looked into those and you're interested in agents, there's so many YouTube videos about skills and memory and potentially plugins that you could really, really quickly get up to speed with that will help you do repeatable tasks very reliably. I want to flag it in case you want to try it. Everything that I say today, you should try rather than wait to be told how to leverage in the best way. I feel like that's the best way of getting under the skin of it. Marketa.
Hey, quick question. Would there be a possibility, because I already forgot almost everything that you said, you went through so many things. Would there be a possibility into one of these tools also to add Fathom transcript from some other calls where we know that there's also stuff that you need to do?
Yeah. So if you've got Fathom, you can already connect Fathom to ChatGPT. I posted something in our core team chat the other day, Marketa, that you could grab, or you could just Google Fathom ChatGPT MCP and it'll come up and tell you exactly how to hook it in here. So yeah, you could create an agent that absolutely has access to Fathom, and then you can ask it questions. And one of the live artifacts that I'll show in Claude actually connects to my Fathom and then pulls out the notes and comments from individuals that I think are relevant to me for shared calls. So yeah, the majority of the time, if you need to connect to a system, I would initially obviously Google or ask Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, how do I connect this tool and this tool together? If that doesn't get you anywhere, then start searching for the word MCP, which is Model Context Protocol. It lets systems integrate together, like it lets systems know what tools are allowed to leverage. And if you still don't get anywhere, then let me know, and I'm quite happy to jump on a call and figure out how to help you integrate those two together. Cool. The final update / thing that I just wanted to share was, if you're a Claude user, about a month and a half ago, I wanted to show you one of mine, but actually they've got so much business information in that I probably can't share them. I'll probably be told off. But there are live artifacts in Claude. So if you download the desktop app of Claude, and you can download the desktop app, I know not everyone is able to do that because we have a number of Chromebook users, but maybe in your own personal environment, you can create something called live artifacts. And what live artifacts are is they're basically web pages that integrate with all the different tools that you leverage to bring you up-to-date information on things that you care about. So for me, I have one that shows me my day, and in there I have how much time I have free today and how much time I should probably block out to try and get my work done based on what my to-do list looks like. It's got an integration with my to-do list platform that I use called Obsidian. It tells me what tasks are also I need to deliver in Asana, alongside showing me what meetings I have, and it gives me a button to basically press to prep for a meeting, which then goes through my Google Drive and finds me information in my Drive that might be relevant to the meeting they're about to have, or my Google Chat. What I'm trying to say is that these are super powerful, and everything that these do, and the reason why they're super powerful, everything that these do, these live artifacts, is it takes from your Claude allowance. So if you've got a paid for or free Claude account, it would just take from your allowance and not cost API calls to do, which traditionally this kind of stuff would do every single time you want to refresh this. So every time you open it, it's going to go to those services and pull the latest information and show it to you on, say, a dashboard or on some kind of system. And in them, you can create like buttons that let you do additional things with Claude. So I have a list of my emails that I need to reply to, and every single one has a draft with Claude button next to it, which will automatically draft it. Use the MCP server to connect to my Google Calendar, and sorry, my Google email account, create me the draft, and then link me straight over there. So if you're thinking about tasks that you do regularly and things that you would love, just something else to take this off your plate, like I've got 10 of these that I need to do, maybe there's a button I can create. Live artifacts in Claude might actually be the best place for that, because it will not cost you money to run it every single time. It will just come out of your subscription. ChatGPT have recently released something called Sites that let you do a similar kind of activity, takes from your usage, slightly less integrated from the experience I've had. And obviously this is the equivalent to what Spark will enable you to do once you all have access to Gemini Spark. The final thing I'll share is I will send this around. I'll send this deck around if it's relevant to anyone. I'll also send the links that I have here on one of the slides of that deck. One of them is this, which I found quite interesting, 100 things that we announced at I/O. If you're interested in Google products like Google Omni to create videos, it's really, really good just to know what Google was focusing on at the I/O event. And it's not really 100 things, it's just like 100 sentences about the 10 or so things that were relevant, really relevant at that session. I think that is my roundup. I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming, and hope that was useful. As I always say, please, please, please give me some feedback. Please, if it was good or even if it was bad, like I want to know how to improve this for the future. Feel free to route it through someone else if you can't give me that feedback yourself. I really, really benefit from it. So thank you. Thanks, Marketa. Name not available. Wow.
Hi, Luke. Is there a recording of this section?
Yes, I recorded. Yeah. I'll share it after.
Perfect. Thanks.
I'm also building a site where all this stuff will sit. I'm just having to transfer it from Manus, where it was originally stored before. And I'll share that with you, Gigi.
Thank you.
Another thing to probably combine into one place. Apologies.
Yeah, that's all good. We can chat about it later.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. I assume there's no more questions. Really appreciate you coming. And I'll see
Thank you.
hopefully in the loop session in 2 weeks' time.